This is about. I want to talk about this Cosby thing because it's looking like he did sexually assault these women. I mean, we can say that they are gold diggers and they're trying to get money. But first, let me say that I was raised on the Cosby Show. It was a very funny show. One of the episodes that stands out to me is when I forget the son's name, the oldest son, Theodore, I believe his name. What was his name? I think it was Theodore. No, not Theodore. It was Theo or something. I think it was Theo. I forget his name. But he had this silk shirt, and he was trying to go out on a date or to a party or something, and he asked his sister to sew he had ripped something, and I believe he asked his sister to sew it back together, and she messed all up, and now he's like walking around with one short sleeve and one long sleeve, and he's all mad, and she was like, "You can still go and have a good time," and it was just funny, and there are several episodes, man, that were pretty hilarious, man, but looking at this case, we say we have multiple women saying that this guy has sexually assaulted them. Now I'm gonna give you the women that are presented. A lady named Andrea Constant. I'm not gonna go through all of the details, but these are just brief details. Constant alleged that Cosby sexually assaulted her in his Montgomery County, Pennsylvania home in 2004. She went to the police with allegations, but the district attorney ruled that there wasn't enough evidence to charge Cosby. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. Tamara Green, a lawyer who lives in California, was the only name supporting witness in Constant's suit. When Green heard that the district attorney thought Constant's story was weak and that she didn't come forward quickly enough, she decided to step forward and tell her story. She claimed Cosby assaulted her in the 1970s. Green told Newsweek she met Cosby through a friend when she was 19 years old and modeling in Los Angeles. Barbara Bowman. Barbara Bowman is a familiar face to people. They would say she looks familiar because I believe she was a model. Bowman, another witness in Constant's lawsuit, came forward and identified herself in 2006 in interviews with Philadelphia news outlets. She more recently wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post in light of the viral comedy video that called Cosby a rapist. Bowman, now 47, says she met Cosby in 1985 when she was a 17-year-old aspiring actress. He became a father figure and mentor to her, she said. She claimed Cosby drugged and raped her several times during the 2 years they knew each other. Beth Ferrier. Ferrier met Cosby in 1984 while she was working as a young model in New York. According to Philadelphia Magazine, she was another unnamed witness in the Constant lawsuit. She came forward with her story in the Philadelphia Daily News in 2005 after the suit was filed, but before it was settled. Her relationship with Cosby started as a consensual affair, she told the Daily News. She said in 2005 the affair lasted about 6 months. Joan Tarshish, a former actress who said Cosby raped her in 1969, she decided to come forward after seeing renewed media attention to the Cosby allegations. Tarshish was 19 years old when she flew to Los Angeles to work on a monologue. Friends she was staying with reportedly knew Cosby. She said she met Cosby at a lunch and he took a liking to her. Cosby reportedly asked Tarshish to work on some material with him one day, and he gave her a drink. Tarshish claimed that she vaguely remembers being undressed by Cosby and telling him she had an infection so that he wouldn't have sex with her. He allegedly still sexually assaulted her. Janice Dickinson, or Janice Dickinson, however you want to look at it. Now, she's another familiar face because she was a model, and I believe she did a little acting also. She's the one, she was one of the more drastic plastic surgery nightmares, and people used to, just dog her, because she went and had a lot of plastic surgery, and she was going in and out of plastic surgery and looking crazy. Dickinson, a supermodel and TV personality, is so far the most high-profile woman to publicly come forward and accuse Cosby of sexual assault. Now, let me stop for a minute because this was the first person that made me believe that he did it, because she is a celebrity, and she's very outspoken. I tend to think she tells the truth. She speaks her mind, and it says here she is the most high-profile woman to publicly come forward and accuse Cosby of sexual assault. She alleged the assault happened in 1982. Dickinson, now 59, says she met Cosby at the request of her agent, who was trying to get her booked on The Cosby Show. Dickinson later landed in rehab for drug and alcohol abuse. She said Cosby called her while she was there, and then after she got out, He invited her to visit him while he was performing in Lake Tahoe. He allegedly told her he wanted to offer her a job and help her develop a singing career. Dickinson claimed that after she had dinner with Cosby in Lake Tahoe, she had a glass of wine and a pill that Cosby gave her in her room. She said that the last thing she remembers before she passed out was seeing Cosby take off his patchwork robe and get on top of her. She told E.T. that she never went to police about the alleged assault because she was embarrassed and ashamed and was afraid of being labeled a whore or a slut and trying to sleep my way to the top of a career that never took place. Dickinson has previously alluded to her issues with Cosby, but hadn't publicly accused him of sexual assault before this week. Therese Serignes, a 57-year-old Florida nurse, came forward this week and identified herself as another of the 13 witnesses in Constand's suit. She claimed Cosby raped her 38 years ago in Las Vegas. Serignes told the Huffington Post that she met Cosby in 1976 when she was 19 years old. She was in Las Vegas visiting her mother, and Cosby was in town to perform at the Hilton. She told WPTV News. She said she ran into him at the hotel's gift shop while she was there with her sister looking at jewelry. He reportedly came up to her, put his arm around her, and invited her to come see his show later. Backstage after the show, Cosby allegedly gave Serignes, however you say her name, 2 white pills. She said the next thing she remembers is Cosby raping her in the bathroom. And these are just other names. Angela Leslie, a 52-year-old former model and actress. Carla Ferrigno, who is married to the actor Lou Ferrigno. Christina Rihuli, a 71-year-old New Hampshire woman. Renita Chene Hill, a 47-year-old Pittsburgh woman. Linda Traits, a 60-year-old woman. Victoria Valentino, a former Playboy bunny. One thing that most of these women have in common is they were either trying to be an actress or they were trying to be a model. And if you know anything about the models are very vulnerable, I think, because they're so concerned about how they look, and they have this self-consciousness about them. And this is why he became a mentor to a lot of those young women, because they're just starting out and they're trying to find themselves. So it's easy for him to be a shoulder to lean on and have a easier access to taking advantage of them through that particular relationship. My take on this is, I believe he did it. I believe he sexually assaulted some of them, maybe not all of them. Maybe he perhaps, to their standards, was sexual assault. Maybe they were just fooling around and he went too far and they didn't like it, and then they felt that this celebrity sexually assaulted them. But it was consensual, it was mutual at the time. Some of them, that's just my feeling. I'm not going to say that he just flat out raped all of these women. I think he raped some of them, he took advantage of some of them, and perhaps some of them, although they may feel they've been taken advantage of, compared to the other women, it's not as bad. But I guess under law, it would be classified as sexual assault. So I guess he did sexually assault them in law. But the thing is, one thing you gotta also keep in mind is that most of these incidences happened in the 70s. And if anybody know anything about the 70s, man, the 70s were a crazy time, man. People are running around doing drugs and, just they just going crazy, man. Doing drugs. It's the whole liberation movement. Everyone's liberated. Everyone's revolutionary. Smoking weed, doing mushrooms, and taking your clothes off and walking down the street, screaming peace and love. That was a crazy time back then, right? So, a lot of those women, perhaps were involved in that revolutionary movement during the 70s, and they were doing drugs and free, liberated, and Bill Cosby perhaps also was on the fringe of that also, but he was a celebrity, he was a comedian, and he just took advantage of some women, some young women that were, just deers caught in the headlights. They were entering into a world of Hollywood, of a Hollywood career, and it's just something that they had to live with. And a lot of people say, well, why did they take so long to come out and say anything? Well, the thing is, you can't expect a woman to come out and just automatically come out and say this person raped me or this and that. especially if it's a celebrity. I mean, they would be scared. Just like Janice Dickinson said, she was ashamed, she was embarrassed, and she was afraid of looking like a a slut and all of this types of things. And and she also said he's a very powerful man, so she couldn't really see herself coming out and saying something about it. But once comes out, once one woman comes out and says something about it, it's like a domino effect. All the rest of them gain the strength to say, well, that woman came out and said something about it, so I feel that I should be able to, because at first I was scared about it, but this person had the strength, to get on national television and confront that issue, so I should also. And I know it looks like it's a horde of gold diggers just out of the woodworks just saying, let's get this money from Bill Cosby. Yes, he raped me too. Yes, he raped me. It could just be that they were rape victims and they didn't have the strength to come out and say something until one of the fellow rape victims came out and said something about it. So, in conclusion, the question I have though is what will happen to Bill Cosby if this comes to be true, because these things happened 40 years ago. What type of time will he be looking at if he goes to prison? I really don't know how they'll settle that, but I'm convinced that he did it. One thing that I don't want people to do though, because I think this is the society we live in where people make a mockery of serious issues. We shouldn't have comedians running around joking about it. We shouldn't have TMZs. We shouldn't have these sources making jokes about such a serious issue, and maybe that'll help us take things more seriously in this country.